A homemade helium mylar balloon believed to be carrying a 6-year-old boy.
I am the living man.
Yes, my mother twitted my temples!
Movies are supposed to entertain us, make us laugh, cry, maybe make us rage a little. But sometimes they go so far off the rails that audiences don't just walk out, they riot, faint, they want a refund, or ban them altogether. Today we are diving into 3 of the most controversial movies ever made. These films shocked people in very different ways, whether it was monster makeup, political obscenity, or straight up human torture. And just to put things into perspective, while we might complain about movies being too much, I don't know if you know this, but in places like Afghanistan, movies aren't just censored, they are outright forbidden. All of them. People over there can watch any, so consider yourself lucky we can even talk about these ones. Oh, and before we continue, if you like digging into bizarre beliefs, hoaxes, controversies, and overall entitled people ruining their lives, hit subscribe. We do this every week. The Phantom of the Opera is a 1925 spooky silent film about a masked man who lives under the Paris Opera House. He is obsessed with a young singer named Christine and secretly helps her rise to fame, but his love turns controlling and dangerous. When Christine discovers his horrifyingly disfigured face, she cringes, and the Phantom's jealousy spirals into chaos. It's gothic and full of eerie atmosphere, with Lon Chaney's terrifying makeup still shocking audiences even today. When the film first came out, people weren't ready for how intense it was. Remember, this was the 1920s, audiences were used to lighter dramas or romances, not horror with prosthetics and dramatics. Chaney's self-applied makeup was so grotesque that some viewers reportedly fainted. The story changed between romance, opera, and straight-up terror, leaving people unsettled. Instead of seeing it as groundbreaking horror, many found it confusing, overly long, too dramatic, or just too disturbing to enjoy. Looking back, the backlash wasn't really fair. Sure, it shocked people, but that's the point. It was the first big American horror film. The movie pushed boundaries with its sets, visuals, Chaney's performance, and the special effects. If any, audiences weren't ready for it, but that doesn't make it bad. Today, it's a classic, studied and celebrated for shaping horror cinema. The rejection says more about the audiences of the 1920s being a bunch of babies than about the movie itself, which was way ahead of its time. Sweet Movie is a 1975 experimental surreal film that mixes dark comedy with shock value. It follows 2 women. One is a beauty queen who marries a rich American sugar daddy, only to find he's bizarre and controlling. The other one joins a boat crew that celebrates free love, political rebellion, indulgences, and just chaos. The movie is filled with strange and provocative scenes, mixing sex, politics, and social critique in ways that often leaves people wondering,
excuse me, what?
When it premiered, most audiences flat out hated it. The movie was too weird and way too gross for mainstream. It featured nudity, bodily fluids, graphic sex, and political shock imagery that made people uncomfortable and sometimes outright disgusted. Instead of seeing it as art, many viewers saw it as offensive and unnecessary provocative. Even in the 1970s, the free spirit era, it crossed lines people weren't ready to cross, leaving most critics and audiences pushing it away rather than embracing the message. Was the backlash fair? In a way, yeah and no. If you walked in expecting a normal movie, Sweet Movie will feel like a kick in the balls. It's deliberately shocking and not everyone wants that from their entertainment. But at the same time, the backlash ignored that the film was designed as political art and not your typical Sunday fun day flick. The director wanted to rattle people, not comfort them. So while the disgust was understandable, dismissing it outright missed the point. It wasn't supposed to be easy to watch. The Bunny Game is a grim, low-budget 2011 horror film about a drug-addicted sex worker who hitches a ride with a truck driver.
Bad idea.
But why was it a bad idea, besides the obvious? Because the driver turns out to be a sadistic killer. From there, the movie descends into non-stop torture, humiliation, and psychological torment, with little to no story. Shot in harsh black and white, it's meant to feel raw and punishing, so another run the gauntlet, you know? More like an endurance test than a traditional horror flick. It's disturbing by design, focusing on shock over narrative. Most people flat out hated The Bunny Game because it didn't really feel like a movie. There's barely a plot, just endless scenes of cruelty and degradation. Instead of tension or jump scares, it relies on extreme imagery to shock people. Many felt it crossed the line into exploitation, showing suffering just for the lulz without any payoff or deeper meaning. Even horror fans who usually enjoy extreme cinema found it too repetitive and empty, so it was banned in several countries and trashed by critics. In some ways, the backlash was understandable. The film is undeniably brutal and doesn't give viewers much beyond shock and misery. For most audiences, it felt empty and exploitative. But for those who see horror as a place to push the limits, The Bunny Game is exactly what it sets out to be. Raw, ugly, heavily disturbing, and confrontational. The backlash makes sense because it's not for everyone, but dismissing it entirely ignores the niche audience it was made for. People who seek horror at its most extreme nature. So there you have it. 3 movies that pushed people way out of their comfort zones and got punished for it. The people and the movies. Some were ahead of their time, some were too weird for their own good, and some, well, maybe they should have come with a warning label and a bucket. But controversy is part of what keeps cinema alive. It forces us to argue, to cringe, bitch about it, and rethink what movies can be. Which of these do you think deserve the backlash, and which ones do you think people just weren't ready for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you like the video, give it a like or a dislike, it's okay. And subscribe, it's completely free. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you the next one. Stay safe.